Yo, Bharat.
I really think you should get yourself a real dog, Mel, because just going and getting yourself a Lhasa Apso hairstyle, it tells me something. It tells me that you can do with some four-legged company. I'm sorry.
Are you saying after all the nice things I've said about your hair that I look like a dog?
A cute one, a Lhasa Apso. I mean, there's more money spent in grooming for a dog than a human being, as you well know.
You know, we've had the discussion before. If there's any dog that I resemble, it's got to be a golden retriever. So take your Lapsang Souchong and stick it. Let's roll the bumper. Soon. It's coming. Hello and welcome to the good, the bad, and the ridiculous with a couple of sleepy heads here, bleary-eyed from watching double screens and into the wee small hours. But what a great night it was. Some terrific test cricket from two grounds in England. In the end, all the bad light and rain is trying to make it hard for us, but we ended up getting some brilliant play. Thank you to all of you who are joining us today. Arpan, hello to you too. To Hitish Moria, good evening to you, and thanks all of you. Kapil, hi to you too. Kapil Verma, everyone. Debadichas, Taka, hello to you. Hello to everyone. But mostly hello to you, Bharat. It's great to have you here too, and all of our friends online. Let's get into some nominations, shall we? First up, from Harsha Reviewer. I was glued to the test match happening at Bristol. What a match, what fighting spirit from Sneh Rana and Tanya Bhatia. Shafali is going to be a star. Not a bad performance from India, given that they haven't played any test in the past 7 years. Eccleston, what a player. There was so much in that. When you talk about a thrilling draw, I mean, we were witness to an incredibly thrilling draw in Sydney that involved India earlier this year. And well, this was another one. Fantastic to see that same kind of Indian fighting spirit, not giving up. You wouldn't have given them much of a chance of holding out for a draw after a couple of, pretty solid batting collapses. But in the end, they did, and it was absolutely brilliant.
And very different to the Sydney Test draw, which we've spoken about enough with Ashwin and Vihari, because in this case they were really with their backs to the wall. In the Sydney Test, at least, it just went. Normally there was a declaration, and India had to bat X number of overs, the Indian men. But here, they had collapsed in the first innings after that opening partnership. The follow-on had been enforced, so England were looking for a quick finish, for a win. And for them to then, finish up with the match ending up kind of even Stevens, almost like with the two teams pretty even, I guess. India did collapse, but they made up for it with this wonderful second innings partnership. Of course, a lot to do with the Sneh Rana Tanya Bhatia partnership, but it just tells you a draw is a wonderful result to have if it's a competitive draw. I mean, there are some long drawn out draws where teams just pound the runs in and then there's no competition, but this kind of draw just makes test cricket so much more exciting, and it makes staying up worth it, even though I had puppy school at 9 a.m. and Isha went off somewhere else, so it was just me and Ollie today, which was challenging.
And I'm going to bring in a note here from Arpan saying Sophie must be gutted. No fifer, also ridiculous. No declaration, speculation. Look, fair play to Heather Knight. That was, for the sake of the game, it was a fantastic declaration, and ensuring the follow-on. Everything about that was really good. And Sophie Eccleston, I mean, it is hard to believe that she still doesn't have a fifer in any format, and she got those 4 wickets in both innings. She bowled a phenomenal number of overs as well, far more than anyone else did. And can I tell you, this is great, Bharat. Our poet laureate is back. We have another poem. I appreciate the effort that's gone into this. Again, from Jimit Raja, who wrote a lovely poem about Sherma. Well, we've got one on Sophie the Sorcerer. A fiery ambush of 4 catches and a bowler with golden hair. Lands red magic, not just a ball. She gives the stumps a scare. Her loopers tie you up in knots. Go and sweep 'em if you dare. Beware batter, she's your bane. Facing her, your worst nightmare. How about that?
Oh, brilliant wordsmith. That's amazing. I think it requires another round of applause. I hope everyone watching this is also applauding at home. This is beautiful, right? There's one thing just watching cricket. I can never put together 2 lines for a poetry in here. It's not just a rhyme. It's a full poem. It's just amazing. It tells you how talented our viewers are, and Jimit Raja is right up there in the rankings for sure. To deliver twice in the space of 3 days with such high quality poetry tells you a lot about Jimit Raja, about his love for cricket, and just how much of a master he is with words.
Yeah, it's as much of a master as Sophie Eccleston is with ball in hand. Hey, look, I'm just going to bring up another comment as well, because I'm going to give myself a plug. Akshay Swami has said Shafali Verma treats her bat like a mace, always resting on her shoulders. Well, I've actually just written a piece about that test. If you'd like to go and read it, you can go and check sportingnews.com or get the link from Twitter. But I've actually said she's like a gunslinger in a Western with the rifle kind of, just resting on her back and chewing gum. And I sort of used that quite a bit in there. So that's just a fish. Go and check out that story. We're allowed to give ourselves a plug, aren't we, Bart?
Oh no, I mean, whenever Melinda Farrell writes something, go and read it. I know she's much more renowned for doing this, being on camera, being your friendly face on camera, bringing you all the cricket information and all the behind the scenes footage, and the news. But I've always believed Mel should write a lot more, and thankfully she is writing a lot more. So every time she writes, we should be putting up links down there, Mel. Everybody should go read more of Mel.
We might edit I'll tell you what, we'll edit the description and put in the link to the story. There you go. I'll do that. I can do whatever I want, damn it. Okay, bring up our next nomination, please. We have, it's coming. Here it is. Out of 22 yards. Good. The magic of last 4 days. Bad. Not having 5 days in women's test. Ridiculous. England still haven't won a test against India on their home soil. I mean, it's sort of, those things feel, those stats are kind of not as meaningful in women's test cricket because you've just got such a small sample size, really. But it is something that India could kind of, I think, go, ha, nah, still haven't beat us at home. I'm sure they wouldn't do that because they're far too polite, but, why not? 5 days, I mean, at this stage with the way the calendar is, I think getting 4 days is probably the amount of time that they will give to it right now. Who knows though? That might change. That might change in the future. So we'll see. But yeah, what do you think? Would you like to see a 5th day, Bharat?
Not yet. I in fact look at it the other way. I mean, there are a lot of proponent people who believe that test matches should be 4 days. Stephen Fleming is one of them, and some parts of it I don't mind. The idea of a test match starting on a Thursday and finishing on a Sunday is brilliant. I mean, most test matches in Australia and England especially start on a Thursday. The logic being that days 3 and 4 are generally the most exciting, so you get all your crowds in. But what you're also saying in a way with that is, see, the mostly the game will finish on day 4. If we'll keep Monday as a reserve day, so it doesn't matter if not too many people come. And generally it's free entry as well, right? For sure, definitely in Australia. I'm not sure about England. So maybe the success of 4-day tests for the women could well someday open the door for the men to follow, because that's going to happen. Don't forget, the first ever 50-over World Cup involved women, not men. So maybe they are
first ever T20 international, first time bowling overarm.
Everything, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was a woman who made the sport cool, I think. So I've always believed it'll be the women who will take cricket to the Olympics, and that's going to happen as well. So for now, I think 4 days is good. We saw a very good test matches. Maybe if there was a fifth day, we would have maybe we would have been in for a more exciting finish. But would Heather Knight then have enforced the follow on? So there are so many ifs and buts with that. Yeah, I mean, England still not having won a test yet. We don't have enough. Those stats are funny, right? We've spoken so much about Shefali Verma. It's doing wonders on debut. I mean, Sneh Rana was also on debut. So was Tanya Bhatia. But we don't talk about them just because they're not 17, or we don't bring it up as often. So, yeah, I mean, it's just that they just don't play enough Test cricket. But yeah, it's a feather in their cap for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Next nomination that we have is from Muglu Butcher. Ridiculous. From 199 for 7 to 344 for 8. From a certain defeat to an engrossing draw a day after Indian women had lost the entire side within 70 runs. Great test match cricket, amazing performances by the debutantes on both sides. And that sort of speaks to what we sort of talked about before, those collapses by India. I think playing this test match will be so good for them, especially because they have that test match against Australia at the end of September to sort of get past those and not getting the contributions, I think, too, from some of their best and most experienced batters in Harmanpreet Kaur and Mithali Raj. They did it without them, and those debutantes were the ones who did it. So I think that was really significant for them in that draw.
Yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of criticism levied upon them as well, Harmanpreet and Mithali Raj. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, Isha just walked in, and the wonderful wife that she is asked me if I want a cup of coffee, and I said yes. Thankfully, also took the dog away with her. That's good. So, see, I mean, you can have all the success in the world, but you also need a very understanding partner who's supportive. Wow, look at that. Yeah. Sorry, I'm if you can plug your pieces, I can definitely plug my.
Whoa, what you do in your own home is up to you. I don't want to go there. This is a PG show.
Is it? Well, is it? I mean, plugging aside.
I think we should go on to the next nomination before this show goes in a direction I'm not sure I want it to. Yes, our next nomination is it's there and that. Whoa, it's there and it's not. They're toying with us. Muku and Rati. Suvia Jaiswal. I said that really badly.
That's fine, yeah. Well done.
No.
Well said.
Ridiculous. So many potential women of the match, if that's what it's called. I'm genuinely more interested in women's cricket after this test match, and hopefully a lot of people are. For the record, I think it's better. And look, the ICC call it player of the match now. A number of publications call it player of the match. It's a better term because, that makes it the same for cricket, whether it's men, women, boys or girls playing. It's the one term used for everything. And what do they get the prize for? It's not for how well you man or how well you woman. It's how well you play. So kind of makes sense. Don't worry. No one gets offended if you say one or the other. It's fine. But for me, that just makes more sense. The piece I wrote was just about how many players had their starring moments across that whole test, and we saw so many of them. And for me, that was one of the really exciting things about it, where almost every player on the field really had their moments. There's so many stars to pick from, and let's just hope it means they play more tests.
Yeah, and firstly, we've had this debate so many times away from the camera, haven't we, Mel? I'm all in favor of if you want to call it man of the match when the men are playing, go for it. If you want to call it woman of the match, look, I mean, yes, it is the play. I mean, you're talking about them playing, but there is a person behind the player. So I'm all for man of the match and woman of the match. But yeah, I mean, yesterday I think my tweet was player of the match, and it just tells you, look, for a team to have been have had a follow-on enforced on them and for them to have an equal number of player of the match candidates as the opposition just tells you how wonderful the fight back was. If the first 1.5 days belonged to England, but except that part when Shefali and Smriti Mandana were batting, I think India really owned day 4, which just made it a classic test match. And yeah, I mean, see, that's the beauty of test cricket. There's been so much of a push for T20 cricket being the vehicle that will spread cricket all over the place. It comes back to good old test cricket too. I don't remember the last time, Mel, there was so much talk about the Indian women playing cricket, not just on social media, but just generally. I was on some show yesterday. People were talking about how, someone was talking about how their parents were sitting and watching women's cricket for the first time. And Shefali Verma is the one who brought them to women's cricket. That's amazing. What else can you ask for?
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so next nomination, please, and we'll get to a couple more. That we will do 2 here. Quick Beyond End, Ridiculously Proud. That wasn't just a flick flying over deep backward square by Rana. It was a proclamation that she's back despite losing her father recently, despite being hit for 32 in 1 over by Divine, despite being out for 5 years against all odds. And we have another one as well from Harshit as well. Sneh Rana, robbed of her century. I know a few people sort of mentioned that there as well. If I can find them. Oh yeah, there you go. From Pawan Kumar, ridiculous. Why did play stop yesterday? Sneh Rana deserves 100. Well, yeah, she did, but at that stage, I think the light was pretty bad. You know how it is with bad light. The light was pretty bad, and so I think as they were going off, it was probably realised that they'd be lucky to get back on, so they decided to shake hands. But yeah, what a great story that she is. And it's I think there was another one there about her selection, because remember at the start, a lot of people were really surprised that they didn't select others like Ekta Bish, that they went in with all off spinners, with the right-handers. Here we are, Dr. Joy, good. Picking Sneh Rana ahead of Ekta Bish and Poonam Yadav. What a masterstroke. Also, the batting order in the second innings, some good decisions made indeed. The promotion of Deepti Sharma as well was kind of a masterstroke. But you thought it was the right decision to go with the bowlers that they did. And in the end, you proved to be the oracle, Bharat.
Not for the first time, not for the last time. No, I mean, look, it's all about team balance. Poonam Yadav has been a superstar in white ball cricket. And maybe if the team combination was different, they would have got, maybe she would have gotten. And I've always believed if you think 2 off spinners can take wickets, you just pick 2 off spinners. There's no point just picking a spinner who turns the ball the other way just for variety. You always go in with your best options, and best options always doesn't mean the best bowlers, but what fixes your combination, or what is the best composition you're looking for. And India wanted depth in their batting, and eventually it was the depth in their batting that really saved the day. So yeah, but what a special performance from Sneh Rana. I was reading a piece by Anesha Ghosh, who all of you should go read if you want to learn anything about women's cricket. Mel's ex-colleague writes extensively and writes wonderfully on women's cricket, and that's a plug for her. And Punan for Crick Bus as well writes a lot of women's cricket. So those 2 for sure, and there are so many others. Snail Pradhan, another one. But yeah, I mean, a great story to overcome that kind of tragic loss just 2 months ago, and she's coming back after such a long time as well, right? 5 years or 5 years since she made her debut. So yeah, on debut as well, test debut. So it was a great performance. She did deserve 100, but at times an 80 not out stands out more than 100.
Yeah, it does. I can see a comment there from Akshay Swami saying, why does the BCCI sideline females and appoint male head coach to Indian women's cricket team? Look, I think there's a worldwide thing when it comes to coaches. There still aren't a lot of female coaches in cricket around the world. Even in Australia, I know that there's been a push to actually train more female coaches. At Lisa Kitely, she's obviously gone over to England and had success there. When it comes down to it, you want the best coaches all the time, and to make sure you have the best female coaches there who have great understanding of the women's game and general cricket skills in general. You need to have a pathway for coaches, just the same as you have pathways for players. So hopefully there'll be a realization too that you just need to give female coaches the best possible pathway through, so that you can have the best coaches of either gender coaching whoever, it works, whatever team works for them to coach.
So the irony, though, Mel, is in India, historically, they've always had women coaches. In fact, even in the midst, everybody talks about Ramesh Pawar and W.V. Raman because of whatever, the controversy of sorts, or whatever, the contentious nature of one going and the other coming, and then W.V. Raman going and Ramesh Pawar coming. But I remember when I started covering women's cricket in 2009, they had Sudha Shah, they had Purnima Rao, they had many women's coaches. So I don't know about so much about the English and the Australian team setups. I don't know when they last had a female coach, if they have ever had
Australia did. They have had female coaches before Matthew Mott. Yeah, before Matthew Mott took over.
Exactly. Yeah. So the Indian team has had lots of. It's just been it's almost been like a hockey team. lots of changes with the head coach. Hopefully now Ramesh Pawar, we're hearing some good things about him from the players as well. So he settles down and he gets a long run.
Yeah, we need the best coach there, really. Okay, next nomination, please. Okay, so mates, shut up. It says ridiculous. Still got to be Shefali. We've spoken about her a lot, but she did get the Player of the Match award, deservedly so. We've already I think we've said all there is to say about her in the past few days, but she does probably stand out as being ridiculous in the whole match.
Yes, but I think it took a ridiculous catch from Catherine Brunt to end her innings because she looked well set to go and maybe get that 100, which she missed out on in the first innings. But then Catherine Brunt got her back a little. Showed her that, because it's the only talk we've heard about them is, this young kid is taking down this, this veteran, right? And for the veteran to pull off a catch like that, after having bowled so many overs across the two innings, it needed something special to get rid of Shefali Verma. And I'm glad it was Catherine Brunt who pulled it off.
Indeed. And a nice comment from Narain123. 2021 is a year of survival and fight back. The men's team in Sydney and the women's team also show, but Mitali and Kaur's form is a concern. Should the World Test Championship schedule be shifted? Well, I'm not really sure that that's going to shift. Therefore, maybe a bit of a concern in Australia, but how much can you take from form in a format when they hardly ever play? I'm not sure you can read too much into that. And I see, Ari Yutsu has dropped in to say, when are the non-Big Three nations going to get into playing regular women's tests? For it to grow, we need more than 3 teams playing each other. Here. Maybe this test will have helped. Maybe the fact that these 3 teams are playing again, sort of in the next sort of year anyway. Maybe that will increase the appetite. I think it would be fantastic for the women's game if they did. A multi-format series are really the way to go.
Definitely. And I'm sticking my neck out. I might be criticized for this, but it's not a bad idea for maybe some of the other nations who are not counted as a Big Three to have 3-day test matches if the schedule permits. Because we've heard, it's not just a question of, okay, let's just have test cricket or let's just have a long schedule, right? The board, whichever board we're talking about, every board is not the BCCI or the ECB or Cricket Australia. So to make up for that limitation, maybe they can have 3-day tests, I think, which can be equally exciting. Or whenever they play Big Three, or maybe just the Big Three teams, and they are the Big Three, let's just face it, can have 4-day test matches. You just need more women's teams playing test cricket. If it means, altering the format a little, why not?
Yeah, hey, we've had 3-day tests, we've had 4-day tests, 5-day tests, 6-day tests, timeless tests. We've had it all. Shanky, this probably sums it up. I can't explain it in words. Oh, where'd it go? I can't explain it in words how this one test has changed my views on the women's game. Can't wait for the ODIs and T20 to start. That probably sums it all up, really. And hopefully a lot of people feel that way after watching that brilliant test match. Okay, next nomination, please.
Before we go to the next nomination, I have to say, Arpan, Bharat has no words to describe the West Indies test performance. It has, I know I defended them. Look, my coffee has come. Thank you, Isha. No, we're not talking about anything else. We're not mentioning her again. But we'll keep it PG. Yeah, I mean, this thankfully, like I said, we don't get to see the West Indies South Africa tests here, and with already 2 screens on, I didn't have the time to go and watch that as well, and for good reason. Just, yeah, I mean, that's what the West Indies do to you. It's not easy being a supporter, but I've been one for 31 years now of my life. Yeah, I'll keep fighting. I'll keep rallying around the West Indies, even if they give me nothing to rally around.
Yeah. Okay. So our next nomination is actually one that we probably really covered, but we'll put it up there just about the tail enders before we move on. From Chicken Yoga, ridiculously good. The best tail ender performance I've ever seen. It was certainly up there as a classic. But our next nomination, of course, there's been some other stuff going on. Whoa, it's gone again. Yeah, I tell you what, they're toying with this. Muku and Rati, what are you doing? Really Rudy, 91, ridiculous. Shubman Gill standing out of the crease and then taking 2 steps forward, facing a 6'8" pace bowler, bowling at 140 clicks. I would have probably done the same, but in the opposite direction. Yeah, well, when it slams you in the front of the helmet, you probably would think twice about doing it. But yeah, that was outstanding. I mean, New Zealand's bowling attack lived up to its reputation in conditions that really suited them, and that was really torrid. It's fair to say we're probably expecting it to be a low-scoring test, which I'm all for. I think that makes it really fun. But you know, that the openers, India's openers, actually batted incredibly well. They got things off to a cracking start despite the ball moving around so much.
Well, I think New Zealand had all the aces up their sleeve. They won the toss. The conditions were right in their favor. And, like, you know, Virat Kohli, so often we've heard captains say, no, we would have batted first just to, you know, play some sort of silly mind game. But Virat Kohli was honest and he said he would have bowled first as well. It was a bowling first kind of day. And Crick Wiz said, this is the 4th only 3 other teams have swung the ball more since 2006. And 2006 has now become the AD of cricket, right? Since Crick Wiz started recording stats. And I thought the Indians batted extraordinarily well. All of them, the openers first, and we'll speak about each one of them in detail a little later, but Pujara played his role. And then Kohli and Rahane, I saw a comment somewhere who said, like, tough conditions, Rahane says, hold my beer. I can tell you Rahane is not too much of a beer guy. But he does perform in tough conditions. And I thought India really won the day, 146 for 3 after being put into bat. And, you know, against that bowling attack, even Tim Southee came back and started bowling brilliantly in his second and third spell. So New Zealand were at their best, but for India to have just lost 3 wickets and for Kohli and Rahane to be set now and for the openers to have played that well was just a great performance. And about Shubman Gill, and it was classic test match batting. I mean, when you hear about batsmen leaving their crease and Matthew Hayden used to do that, it doesn't always mean that they're doing it with like an intent to hit sixes. It's about putting the bowler off, and they succeeded in doing that with someone of Tim Southee's experience. There's one thing standing outside your crease. You generally do that to negate swing or to get to the pitch of the ball. But if you start walking down, you're messing with the bowler's length. But then, of course, you have someone like Kyle Jamieson, who I thought was a standout bowler yesterday, as he has been in Test cricket for the last 12 months. You are going to get one. You are going to wear one. I'm with real Rudy, really Rudy. I would have been walking in the opposite direction as well.
Yeah, I most definitely would. Okay, next nomination, please. Moko, 58. Bad. Pujara sacrificing his time at the wicket. Oh, my goodness. it must be India men playing in a test because it's time to criticise Pujara's scoring rate. There are some things that are just certainties in life, death, taxes, and criticising Pujara for being too slow. I mean, even Kohli, I think he left a third of his deliveries. How often do you see Kohli leave a third of his deliveries? At that point, I don't think it was easy for anybody to score.
I mean, without Pujara doing what Pujara did, I don't think Kohli and Rahane would have. I mean, the ball's still doing a lot, or was still doing a lot while they were batting. But he plays a role. Yes, he got out. I thought Neil Wagner set him up wonderfully, shot, and then just like slid one in. But he just does it day in, day out. And 52 balls on that pitch counts for a lot more than if he had gone on and made like 24 in 40 balls. Like in these conditions, spending time at the crease, like at what time of the innings you're batting in the middle matters a lot. And I thought, just like the openers did, even though they got 38 or so for Rohit and 28 or 36, whatever it was, 28 for Shubman Gill, at times it's not the runs that matter. And look, I'll say it again, this is a bowler's test match. Both teams, it's the bowling lineups who have got them to the World Test Championship final. And in these conditions, you would expect the bowlers in both teams to win the test match for their respective teams. And for India to be in a position where they could even get to 300, this is a huge score. It's a huge score with the bowling that they have.
Yeah. I also noticed an interesting comment there from Mahesh Testa. Good. India, speaking of a bowler's match, India is playing with two spinners. New Zealand will have a big surprise from Ravindra Jadeja, I'm going the wrong way, and Ravichandran Ashwin. So RA and RJ, or RJ and RA. It's going to be a contrast, actually. One of the most fascinating aspects of this test match to come, I think.
Yes, and before I move forward, yes, Saurabh and Ashish, I should have said Wagner set him up and Bolt got him out. See, this is what happens when there's two test matches going on. And two left-armers. All right, so cut me some slack there. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. But yeah, Bolt did get him out, but it was Wagner who set him up. And yeah, I mean, look, what the cliche, Mel, when it seems it spins, and and Ashwin and Jadeja. The one thing about this pitch is I heard some commentators say, I mean, people at the ground, that there are some inundations on this pitch, and and there was not visible crack, not like the Gabba, but there could be some cracks developing. So that'll bring the spinners into pain. And there's been so much moisture on that pitch as well. So the ball could grip, and that'll bring both Ashwin and Jadeja into the game. And we still haven't seen spin. That's, again, another factor, right? If New Zealand had played a spinner, you would have fairly got an idea of what the spinners are doing. So when Ashwin and Jadeja come on to bowl, New Zealand would not have an idea of what the pitch is going to do in terms of spin. So in a way, it's a slight advantage.
Unless we see Kane Williamson roll his golden arm over at some point. Who knows? Next nomination. Do we have any more nominations? Oh, yes, here we are. That cricket head. Ridiculous. Bad light, cloud cover, frequent breaks, the most swing that New Zealand ever get in the past 4 years, 2.2 degrees, such hostile conditions and such determined batting. One of the best bowling spells and batting resilience seen in a long time. Yeah, bad light. Damn it, that was frustrating. Bad light does my head in, man.
All right, look, we'll come to bad light, and I'm going to jump in support of the umpires in a second. But, I mean, I thought Virat Kohli, so much talk about him not having scored 100 in a long time. But he's produced some gems in recent times. There's some of his innings against England on those pitches at home, and the innings he played here in Adelaide when the ball was doing stuff against the pink ball. Yes, Ajinkya Rahane ran him out. And yesterday was, I think, right up there. It was a masterclass on how you bat when the ball's doing a lot. And then Rahane also joined him. I thought it was a joint masterclass, but Virat Kohli produced a gem of a knock, and he looks set to make a big score. So for his sake and for India's sake, he does go and do that. Well, about bad light, right? The umpires were like, everybody was piling on them, poor guys, and saying like, they're disregarding the fans and like the millions who tuned in. So this is the difference. So this is the light you see on TV, right? If this is bright, this is how it is actually. So I have to switch this light on for you to for this light, and this is what it's like often, because when you see what you see on TV, it's all spruced up, right? It's never as
Yeah.
bright as it is on TV as it is at the ground, like I just showed you there. And there were some fans complaining as well, fans who were at the Hampshire Bowl, who said no, but it's the same light, and but you're not facing someone bowling at 140 clips, and who's 6'8" tall. So the umpires are there. I mean, they don't just take the players off because they just feel like on a whim, right? It's their responsibility, the safety of the cricketers. And people have died on the cricket pitch. Let's not just forget about that. And it's their responsibility, the safety of the players. And just because a lot of people are paying a lot of money and a lot of people are interested in the World Test Championship, have nothing to say on Twitter, does not mean the umpires can just keep these players on the field. So I've never understood this piling up on umpires. And you're talking about umpires who've done this for a while. Right, and like I said, the pitch belongs to them, the umpire, and that's me venting out my frustration at all this umpire piling on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the part of the frustration thing, it seems to be, if you look at the laws and the regulations, it often seems to be quite nebulous. It's not necessarily exact, and it's the way it's sort of set out. It's just a little bit. I guess it can be ambiguous, and that maybe causes frustration as well. But you are right about how deceptive the TV cameras can be because of the way that they expose the cameras. Now, I think we have one more nomination that came in, from Forward Short Leg. Ridiculous. Illingworth, self-review of Kohli. Well, if you're going to go off about bad light and piling on the umpires, I'm expecting you're going to do the same here, Bharat.
I will. I mean, look, this is where the TV graphics, it was a production blunder, where they just randomly put on the DRS timer on the screen, and it was a production blunder. It was not an umpiring blunder. So if you read the ICC, if you just read about what happened, basically Richard Illingworth in his head thought Virat Kohli had edged the ball. So when the bowler appeals, he thought, if you just eliminate the DRS, imagine if it was a very clear edge. If someone's driving at the ball, for example, the Rohit Sharma dismissal, he wasn't driving, he just flashes clear edge, Tim Southee dives to his right, takes the catch. Now, in that case, if they aren't sure whether the ball is carried or not, they've not made a decision. You don't make a decision. The DRS comes into force only after the umpires makes the decision. So in this case, if there is doubt over whether the ball carried or not, he goes upstairs, he has to give the soft signal, and then the third umpire decides whether the ball had carried or not. So what happened here is Richard Illingworth in his head, or he has decided, but not made a decision, that the ball did hit Virat Kohli's bat. And then he's gone to the third umpire just to check whether the ball carried or not, whether BJ Watling collected the ball cleanly or not. And once it goes upstairs, you use everything, every gadget, every part of technology at your disposal. And the Ultra Edge finds that there was no edge. So then he makes his decision. So in case, imagine that he had made a decision at that point, and then either Kohli or Williamson, either of them could have reviewed it. So till the umpire doesn't make a decision, it doesn't become a review. So it wasn't it's sort of an Illingworth self-review, but I don't think it was as ridiculous as people made it out to be. Blame the producers or whoever is in charge of the graphics, not the umpire.
Wow. Well, I can see a couple of comments there. One from Arpan saying Simon Dool said that the soft signal was given, and today they'll show the clip on broadcast. And Samrat Mana saying, well, Simon Dool said that they got the soft signal on one of the cameras that will be shown today. So there you go. We'll all be able to look at that. This show has gone on longer than normal because we've had so much to talk about with two massive tests there. So it is time for... Wait for it, Barrett. You know what's coming. The goodest thing.
Oh, dear. I'm not sure whether Mel's coming back from that. So I guess this is that part of the show when I'm supposed to talk about the goodest thing for the day. Oh, Mel's back, thankfully.
I don't know what happened. Did the graphics thing roll? Did we see our goodest? Go.
Well,
have I gone? Can you hear me?
Well, Mel struggles with her internet. I will just reveal what the goodest thing of the day was. And I think you have to talk about just the women's test match and what the performance from Sneh Rana and Tanya Bhatia does not to the Indian team, but just for women's test cricket in general. I think after the last 4 days, like a lot of you have said, everyone's talking about women's cricket, which is what women's cricket needs. And initially it was all about Shefali Verma. It was about getting excited about one talent. But now after yesterday, we're getting excited about the entire team. So which is, you couldn't have asked for anything else. And we have swapped. Oh, no, we haven't.
Hello, I'm back. Okay, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I don't know what's going on with my internet connection today. Apologies for that. And must be time now for the baddest thing of the day.
Hi!
It's actually my laugh.
Before I get into it, I agree with Amrut Bhatt. If we do not speak about Dinesh Karthik's commentary, it would be ridiculously bad, because I thought he made an outstanding test debut as a commentator. Someone correctly said on Twitter he always did well as a cricketer in England, opening the batting, and he was put in as an opener. I mean, imagine first time you're doing commentary on Test cricket. It's the World Test Championship final, and you are in the box ahead of Sunil Gavaskar, one of the greatest openers the world has ever seen. But I thought Dinesh Karthik handled himself really well. But for the baddest thing yesterday for me was this pile on the umpires, where people just, if you can't find anyone else, if you're frustrated that there's not enough to watch, go after the umpires. That was pretty bad.
Easy target. And here comes, it's time for the ridiculousest thing of the day.
It's going to take me a while to get over that. But I think the most ridiculous part of the day was just how well the Indian batsmen played. And it was ridiculously good. I mean, we've seen Indian batting lineups so many times in these kind of tough conditions lose a test match within that first session, right? There'll be a mini collapse. They'll end up at 40 for 3. But I thought the way the openers batted, we've spoken so much about Kohli and Rahane and Pujara as well, but I thought the openers really set the tone. Tim Southee, first 5 overs going for 25 runs, where it wasn't just survival. Every bad ball was put away. And I thought they really not just set the tone, but laid a marker for not just this test match, but for the summer to come ahead. Beware England, I would say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that was a monster show from us today. Thank you to all of you for joining and being part of it. We really do appreciate it. It means a lot to us. And we hope you're enjoying this 436 watching live. There you go. Hello to every single one of you out there. We really appreciate you joining us. And we will see you again tomorrow for hopefully some absolutely rip-roaring nominations for good, bad, and ridiculous. Make sure you drop them on Twitter with the hashtag, or do come and join us live again. We'll see if we can get those numbers up and drop us your questions in the chat. And until tomorrow, we bid you farewell.